Before people feared Neka, Neka was once a quiet girl who loved to smile. She lived in a small house at the edge of a busy street. From outside, the house looked normal. Children played nearby. Neighbors greeted each other every morning. But inside that house, peace did not live there. Every evening, Eneka waited for one sound, her father's footsteps. The moment she heard the gate open, her heart would begin to beat fast. She could already tell his mood from the way he walked. Some days, his steps were slow. Some days, they were heavy and angry. On bad days, her mother stopped talking immediately. Eneka, go inside, her mother would whisper gently. But even inside her room, Eneka could still hear everything. The shouting, the insults, the sound of objects hitting the floor. Her father believed shouting made him strong. He believed fear meant respect. When he spoke, everyone had to stay silent. Her mother was the opposite. She was soft, calm, and patient. She always tried to keep peace. Please, let us talk calmly, her mother would beg. But calm words never worked against anger. One night, the rain was falling heavily outside. Thunder shook the sky. Eneka sat on her small bed, hugging her school bag close to her chest. Then the shouting started again, louder than ever before. She heard a loud crash. Her mother cried out. Eneka ran to the living room doorway and froze. Her father stood, breathing heavily. A broken plate lay on the floor. Her mother was on the ground, holding her arm, tears running down her face. For a moment, nobody spoke. Eneka felt something break inside her chest. She wanted to help her mother, but fear held her feet to the ground. Her mother looked at her and forced a weak smile. "It's okay," she said softly. But it was not okay. That night, Eneka did not sleep. She kept asking herself one question. Why is kindness always losing? Days later, her mother became quiet and weak. She stopped laughing. She stopped singing while cooking. She moved slowly, like someone carrying invisible weights. Then one morning, neighbors filled the house. Adults whispered, some cried. Eneka did not fully understand until one aunt hugged her tightly and said, "Be strong, my child." Her mother was gone. Just like that. No goodbye, no explanation, only silence. People said many things. Maybe it was sickness, stress, heartbreak. But inside Neka's young mind, one belief grew stronger. Her mother suffered because she was weak, and weak people do not survive in the world she knew. After the burial, the house changed completely. Her father stopped shouting, but not because he changed, because he became frustrated and weak. He began drinking every day. Bottles filled the house. Sometimes he laughed alone. Sometimes he slept on the floor. Sometimes he forgot to cook for Neka. Sometimes he forgot she existed. The strong man who once controlled everyone was now controlled by alcohol. Neka watched carefully. She learned something without anyone teaching her. People either control or they are controlled. There was no middle ground. 3 months later, another tragedy came. One morning, neighbors gathered again. Voices were serious, faces were heavy. Her father had died during the night after drinking too much. At 16 years old, Nika stood alone in the same house where fear once lived. No parents, no protection, only memories. That evening, as the sun went down, she sat outside the house quietly. Tears rolled down her face, but she quickly wiped them away. Crying felt useless. Crying did not save her mother. Crying did not stop pain. At that moment, Nika made a silent decision, one that would change her life forever. She whispered to herself, "I will never be weak again. No one will ever hurt me again. No one will ever make me weak. I will be strong. I will be the one people fear. I will be in control." From that moment, Nika stopped being a scared girl. She built a wall around her heart, and without knowing it, the gentle Nika began to disappear, and someone harder was born. At 16, Nneka became an orphan. Both her parents were gone. The world felt empty, cold, and unfair. She moved in with her grandmother, a kind, calm, and gentle old woman who lived in a quiet, small village. Nneka walked into her grandmother's house quietly. She looked around and could feel something different from the home she grew up to. There were no shattered plates, no shouting, no angry footsteps, no broken furniture. Everything was neat and peaceful. It felt weird to her. How can a day pass without someone yelling, she thought. How can a house be this quiet? Her grandmother smiled at her softly. Welcome, my child. You are safe here, she said. Eat something. Rest. You are home now. Nneka sat on the bed her grandmother had prepared for her. She stared at the walls. The walls were bare, but neat. Everything seemed so calm. For the first time in her life, Nneka felt peace. She had grown up in a house full of noise, fear, and pain. She had learned that only the loud, the strong, and the cruel survived. Her mother's kindness had failed her. Her father's anger had ruled everything. Fear was the language she understood. Pain was the only truth she knew. And now, here, in her grandmother's house, everything was silent, peaceful, too peaceful. She did not like it. Nneka remembered her promise, a promise she had whispered to herself in the dark after watching her mother die and her father fall to alcohol. No one will ever make me feel weak. No one will ever control me. I will be the one people fear. I will be strong. She clenched her fists. The fire inside her burned. Peace in this house would not change her. She would still become strong. She would still make the world fear her. The next day, Nneka went outside into the small village. The sun was bright. Children were playing. Some were chasing chickens. Some were in groups gisting. Others were climbing trees. Nneka's eyes scanned them all. They ran, laughed, and shouted, but she only watched. She started practicing, carrying heavy things to grow her muscles. Her muscles began to grow. Her arms became firmer. Her legs became stronger. Her shoulders became wider. Her back became hard like a young adult's, not a girl's. The children noticed her. At first, they were curious, but as they saw her lifting heavy things, running faster than anyone else, moving with a calm but firm look on her face, they began to fear her. When she walked past them, some children ran into the bush to hide. Some climbed trees silently. Others stopped playing and stared at her with wide eyes. Even the older boys in the village stayed away from her. Nneka liked this feeling. Power was intoxicating. Fear was safety. Respect was earned when people were afraid of you. She had learnt this from the way her father had ruled at home. Every day she practiced. She carried heavier weights. She ran longer distances. She did not allow herself to smile easily. She did not allow herself to be soft. The village people whispered about her. That girl is different, they said. She is not like other children. She's dangerous, said one boy. Look at her arms. She can fight like an adult. Don't get close to her, another said. The whispers pleased Nneka. She felt alive in a way she never had before. Fear followed her wherever she went. Children stopped laughing when she was near. Even the dogs barked less when she walked past. But inside, Nneka still felt a hollow space. She was strong, she was feared, but she had no friends. She had no one to trust. Her grandmother's love was soft and steady, but Nneka's heart had been hardened by years of pain. She did not allow herself to feel warmth. One afternoon, she sat under a tree. She thought about her mother. She thought about her father. She thought about the house she had left behind. The shouting, the pain, the chaos. I will never go back to being weak, she said quietly. I will never let anyone hurt me. I will be the one people fear. Her grandmother watched her silently from the doorway. She felt a mix of sadness and worry. She knew Nneka had been through much pain. She also knew the girl was determined, perhaps too determined. But Nneka did not care. She had a goal. She had made herself a promise, and she would keep it no matter what. She had trained her body. She had sharpened her mind. She had built a wall around her heart. The world outside her grandmother's village would soon see her. The world would soon know fear, and Ineka would be in control. By the next school term, Ineka's grandmother enrolled her in school. All things are possible secondary school. The morning of Ineka's first day at school, the village felt smaller than ever. She walked with her grandmother to the school gate, her school bag heavy on her back, but her steps firm and confident. The school was busy. Children ran around, shouting, laughing, and carrying books. Teachers moved quickly, calling names, scolding, and guiding. Everything seemed ordinary. Everything seemed normal, but Ineka did not care about normal. She only cared about being strong and feared. Her grandmother stopped at the gate. She held Ineka's hands softly. "Remember, my child, be careful. Strength is good, but do not hurt others without reason," she whispered. Ineka nodded but did not smile. She did not want comfort, she only wanted control. As soon as she entered the classroom, all eyes turned toward her. Ineka felt the weight of every gaze, but instead of fear, she felt power. She straightened her back, lifted her chin, and walked slowly to the empty seat in the middle row. Then it happened. A boy named Chinedu, small but loud, could not resist the chance to make fun of the new girl. He jumped to his feet, pointed at Ineka and shouted, "Class, look, we have a new errand girl today." The classroom erupted in laughter. Some students clutched their stomachs, laughing so hard they cried. Ineka froze for a second, then her eyes narrowed, her face changed, calmness left her, power entered. Anger was not in her voice yet. It did not need to be. She moved like a storm about to strike. Before anyone could blink, she was at Chinedu's desk. Her hand gripped his collar. She lifted him slightly, her strength shocking everyone. "Do that again," she said in a low, sharp voice, "and you will regret it." The classroom went silent. Chinedu's eyes widened, his mouth opened to speak, but no sound came out. He slowly sank back into his seat, trembling. Some students froze in fear. Some covered their mouths. Others quietly edged toward the windows, hoping to escape her eyes. From that moment, the whole class understood. Ineka was not like any other student. She was strong. She was fearless. She was dangerous. After that incident, Ineka sat quietly in her chair. She did not smile. She did not laugh. She just stared straight ahead, her eyes cold and steady. Teachers noticed. "Ineka, is everything all right?" the class teacher asked gently. Ineka nodded once without looking at her. That was enough. Her silence spoke louder than words. The word of Ineka's strength spread quickly through the school. By the second day, stories about her had reached every corner. "She lifted Chinedu like he was nothing," some students whispered. "Don't even joke with her," said another. "Run if you see her coming," the third student warned. Even the older students kept their distance. Ineka had become a legend in just one day. But Ineka did not stop. She continued to test her strength every day. If someone laughed too loudly near her, she stared at them until their smiles disappeared. If someone tried to touch her bag, she pushed them away firmly. If someone tried to sit in her seat, she moved them without mercy. At the sight of Ineka, children in the schoolyard saw her walking alone. Some ran to the bushes to hide. Others jumped over fences or ducked behind trees. Even the teachers who were passing by felt a chill when Ineka's eyes met theirs. Ineka liked it. The fear made her feel safe. The fear made her feel powerful. Yet, deep inside, she still felt the quiet confusion she had felt at her grandmother's house. She wondered, sometimes, if being feared was enough, but she quickly pushed the thought away. One afternoon, a small boy accidentally dropped his lunch near her. He stumbled and cried out. Eneka looked down at him. No empathy. Her first instinct was to ignore him, maybe even laugh like the others had laughed at her when she was younger. But something stopped her. She remembered her promise. "I will be the one people fear." Not kindness, not compassion, fear. That was power. She picked up her bag, adjusted it on her shoulders, and walked past the boy without saying a word. He stared after her, wide-eyed. He was afraid, just like she wanted. The next day, Ineka became even stronger. She had started practicing more than just lifting and running. People get intimidated with her presence alone. A simple glance could make students freeze. A small movement of her hand could make them scatter. Even the teachers tried to speak with her, to guide her, to tell her that kindness was also strength. Eneka would listen silently, nod, and then do exactly as she wished anyway. By the end of the week, the once lively classroom had changed. Children whispered instead of shouting. They walked slowly instead of running. They avoided her gaze. They did not laugh loudly, and Eneka smiled quietly to herself. For the first time in her life, she felt truly in control, truly powerful, truly feared. Her promise had worked. After her first day, Eneka's reputation grew like wildfire. By the second week, every student in all things possible secondary school knew her name. They didn't speak it lightly. They whispered it with fear. Some even shivered when her footsteps approached the classroom. If Ineka walked down the corridor, students moved aside like she was a storm about to pass. Some ran to the bathrooms claiming they needed to wash their hands. Even older students who fought in schoolyard games avoided her. It pleased Ineka. For the first time in her life, she felt complete control. Fear gave her safety. Fear gave her respect. Fear made her powerful. She tested her strength daily. She didn't wait for students to bother her before she found small reasons to make them afraid. One afternoon, a group of girls were chatting and giggling near her desk. Neka walked by, leaned down slightly, and whispered just loud enough for them to hear, "Don't make noise near me, or you will regret it." From that day, the girls avoided that area of the classroom entirely. Even the teachers noticed. They were worried. They tried to warn her. "Neka, you must control yourself," the class teacher said one afternoon. "Bullying is not acceptable." Neka nodded politely but said nothing. In her mind, politeness was enough. She didn't need to explain herself. She didn't need anyone to understand. Her promise to herself mattered more than rules. The principal also called her grandmother. "Mama," he said gently, "Neka, your granddaughter, is a bright girl, but she's scaring the other students. Please help her." Her grandmother sighed. She knew Neka was strong, both in body and will. She also knew her granddaughter had suffered much. She tried to speak to Neka gently. "My child," she said one evening at home, "strength is not for frightening people. Strength is for protecting them." Neka looked away. She did not reply. She had heard it all before. Her mother had taught her to be gentle, and her father had taught her to fight. Only one lesson had survived. At school, Neka became a force that no one dared challenge. Students who once laughed and played together now avoided her. Even the mischievous ones who prided themselves on courage ran at her approach. One day after school, a group of students tried to challenge her on her way home. They blocked her path. "Why are you standing in our way?" one boy shouted. Neka looked at them calmly. Her eyes did not move, but her presence was enough. In a single motion, she pushed one boy aside without breaking a sweat. Another tried to trip her, but she twisted easily and kept walking. The rest froze. Some ran, some hid behind a tree. News spread quickly. "Don't joke with that new girl. She's dangerous. She fights like an adult." Students began avoiding her. When they saw her coming, some ran away, some hid behind trees, some pretended to be busy. Neka liked it. For the first time in her life, she felt safe. Fear gave her power. If someone talked too loudly, she threatened them. If someone laughed near her, she stared until they stopped. Teachers warned her many times. "Neka, violence is not good." But she did not listen. In her mind, kindness meant weakness, and weakness led to pain. Even though everyone feared her, Neka was always alone. No one sat near her during lunch. No one shared jokes with her. No one called her friend. Sometimes she watched other students laughing together. For a small second, she felt something strange. Loneliness. But she quickly hardened her face again. "Friends make you weak," she told herself. At home, her grandmother kept receiving complaints from school. "My child," her grandma said softly one evening, "strong people protect others. They don't hurt them." Neka looked away. She did not believe that. One afternoon, a new problem appeared. A quiet boy named Ikena joined their group project. Unlike others, Ikenna did not avoid Neka. He spoke calmly to her. Neka, can you pass the book? She frowned. Nobody talked to her like that. One day she shouted at him for correcting her work. The class expected Ikenna to run away, but he didn't. He simply said gently, "You don't have to fight everything." Nneka was shocked. "Are you not afraid of me?" she asked. Ikenna smiled slightly. "I think you are just protecting yourself." Those words followed her all day. Days passed. Ikenna continued treating her normally. One afternoon, some older boys tried to bully a smaller student behind the school. Nneka watched from far away. Her first instinct was to ignore it, but then she remembered her mother, begging, crying, alone. Something changed inside her. Instead of attacking, she stepped forward and stood beside the smaller boy. "Leave him alone," she said firmly. The boys walked away. The younger student thanked her with shaking hands. For the first time, Nneka felt a different kind of power. Not fear, respect. Later, Ikenna told her, real strength is protecting people, not controlling them. That night, Nneka cried quietly for the first time in years. She realized she had become the same kind of person her father was. She had been spreading the same fear she once hated. The next day in class, something shocking happened. Nneka stood up. She faced everyone. Her voice shook. "I am sorry for hurting all of you." The classroom went silent. Nobody expected that. Apologizing felt harder than fighting, but it also felt lighter. Slowly, students began talking to her again, not with fear, but with caution and kindness. Nneka changed little by little. She helped weaker students. She controlled her anger. She learned to talk instead of fight. It was not easy. Sometimes she almost lost control, but Ikenna reminded her, being calm is also strength. Soon, the girl everyone once feared became someone people respected. She was still strong, but now her strength made others feel safe. At the end of the school term, the principal called Nneka forward during assembly. He said, "True strength is not making others afraid. True strength is helping others feel safe." And she was awarded the school head girl. The students clapped. Nneka looked at her grandmother in the crowd, smiling proudly. For the first time, Nneka understood something important. She never needed to become a bully to survive. She only needed healing. Sometimes, people who hurt others are people who were once hurt themselves. Pain can turn someone into a bully, but kindness can change even the hardest heart. Being strong does not mean controlling people. Real strength is choosing kindness when you have the power to hurt.